Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to today's market color session. My name is Sabiabi and I'll be taking the first half of this analysis, which will be covering commodity currencies, after which we're going to move into another analysis on indices. I see a couple of us online. Good morning, it's so good to have you here. Zoom community, YouTube community as well. Good morning. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a quick recap at levels we marked out on Tuesday on these commodity currencies that we wanted to sell AUD USD, NZD from, and USD CAD. So you'll see that we marked out some zones. Let's start from the M5. You see that we marked out some zones into Tuesday, right, I believe. All right, so this was from our last analysis yesterday, today. So this was Tuesday, and this was a zone that we had marked out. You know, anytime we do analysis, we always mark out these zones and say, if price is going to respect this level, I want to see certain confirmation patterns to continue to sell. And if price happens to violate through, then we'll be looking for buy opportunities, right? Now, this is what we saw here. Price came, broke below, and gave us a retest around the zone. I believe if you go back on M1, which is where we see our confirmations from, you'd see an entry that was confirmed for this sell to happen. And about 57 pips was called from NZD USD move. Same thing for AUD USD. This is a zone that we had marked out. This is Tuesday. Price eventually broke through, retested, and then sold off. Also USD CAD. Quickly, you'd see price also did this. This is a zone that we marked out. Broke above, came to give a retest, and a bought, right? Now, I'm still waiting for price to now, since we already called the move of that session. Remember, 5-minute time frames just help us to be able to calculate the moves of the session sometimes, because higher time frames take a longer period of time. But on M5, we can see our daily bread. Now, that has happened. Tuesday has played out. Those of us who made money, great. Those of us who were not part of that session, what does today present for us? I'm looking at this and I'm expecting USD CAD to sell. I'm expecting it to sell. I want a deeper retracement on the higher time frame. If I am trading off the higher time frame, then these are the zones I'm going to be watching out for. Come and give me retracement. Indicator aside, if we're using market structure, I'm waiting for price to give a deeper retracement to buy USD CAD, then we're looking at somewhere around here, which is right inside the H4 momentum indicator. Now, for those of us who don't know what all these lines are, I totally understand. This is one of our many trading strategies that we happen to teach over here at the VFT Academy. And if you don't have this installed on your laptop, it's fine. What you want to do is to take note of the price point. So this is what I'm now looking out for. Let's come to H1. On H1, price is temporarily selling, and this point of interest is still very much valid. The only one I'm going to be adjusting is this. And then add a third POI right here, saying, come back here. Look at this previous resistance that could now be support. So this has a couple of confluences around this level. Come here, give me another opportunity to buy USD CAD. Let's go on M5. I'm going to be drawing today's POI, forgetting what has already happened. Let us now see what today presents. So as usual, we're marking out yesterday's high and low into today's price movement. Same thing. Okay, so these are now my 4 points of interest. I'm now saying, you know, I said I'm looking for price to sell deeper into the H1 point of interest, which happens to be around here. So I'm looking at sales. You can even see zooming in to look at what price is doing. Price is gradually breaking downward. So give us a deeper sell into either this point of interest. If you violate this zone, I believe you know how points of interest work. This will now be the next POI or this or this. And then we'll be looking for buy opportunities from there. However, because all weather gives us opportunity to, take retracement trades, sometimes if we see confirmation to sell from here, we could take a quick sell. But bearing in mind that we are countering, so Okay, this stop loss is quite wide. Because my take profit level is already close, it's not going to be worth it. This is going to be like a 1:1 or even 0.910-ish type of trade, so no point. So let's just wait for this retracement. Now for AUD USD H4 time frame, what do I see? So predominantly, price is upward, sunshine printed, this buy, temporary buy, it's currently happening, buy back into a good enough zone. So POI still valid. This is also still valid. And price is already there even. It has tapped into this indicator. So is AUD USD going to give us a sell opportunity? Let us go to M5. On M5, what am I doing? Yesterday's high and low, day before yesterday's high and low. You're only paying attention to the levels I'm marking out into today, please, so I don't get confused. Just pay attention to these zones that I marked out into today. So H1 is showing us signs that it has already traded into this pullback. Right now, we want to wait for confirmation because price could push higher up into 0.65270 before it starts to sell. So right now, we're watching AUD USD for a sell opportunity. Let's see what it does. It's also currently at a 5-minute POI and it's starting to react. So what do we need to see for the confirmation? We want to see a break and a retest for us to now know that AUD USD sell is in motion, and our take profit would be somewhere around here, above this high, so that this level now acts as the projected high. And then for NZD USD H4 structure, this guy is moving downward. However, I'm seeing a buy opportunity because sunshine has been printed. So people who are moving these markets downward are taking profit. On H1, same thing. Price should now retrace. This POI is still valid. Go ahead, adjust this, and then add our third point of interest. Buy back into the zone. Let me see if you hold. If not, 0.57388, and then the third one. Then on M5, mark out yesterday's high and low, and we're going to be waiting to see what price does. If you have any questions so far, please do well to ask in the chat box before we move into analysis on indices. Now, as always, understand not everybody is very familiar with indicators. That doesn't mean they don't make money. So those of us who are not traders, you may want to learn how to use this. Those of us who are already traders, this is an extra confluence for you to your analysis to make money. So this is in confluence with yesterday before yesterday's low. I'm just going to leave it as 1. This barely showed, so let me withdraw that. So 1, 2, 3 are now the levels I'm looking out for. For NZD USD, we're seeing more temporary buy opportunities come here or here or here, and then we'll continue to sell NZD USD. That's pretty much it. Any questions so far before we proceed into the next half? All right, thank you so much for joining. We'll go on a very short break shortly and then come back to continue today's analysis. So don't go anywhere. See you soon. Cheers and God bless.
Hello everyone and good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing today? Hope we're good. Hope we are fine. Welcome to the second part of this market scholar. And shortly we are going to look at the second part, which is the US indices, US30, NAS, and S&P 500. Please give me a sec. Let me fix a camera over here in the studio. Okay, so moving on very quickly to the business of today. I believe you can see my screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Just let me know in the chat box if you can see my screen. All right. Thank you. So very briefly, not last week, that's on Tuesday, and 2 days ago, all right, we did analysis on US30, and we marked out some areas we wanted price to, react from, right? Which was this zone, wanted price to react from the zone, right, to the upside. That was during the London session, and by New York session, there was already opportunity for us to, take advantage of, right? The markup are still even here available, right? We had a break of this structure or shift. Somebody will call it shift, another person will call it a break, anyone. A shift of structure here, then a proper break of structure, right? A shift, another break here, which signifies that we are moving to the upside, and the only available place for us to come and, buy from is this fair value gap that I marked out here, this tiny fair value gap. Although price still dug much more deeper into it, but then we had something like this, then just below this, and of course, as at when we had price was still somewhere around here or something, right? Or then it went as far as 1:5-ish, if I'm not wrong. Okay, 1:4.75-ish, right? 1:3, I'm already broken even, honestly speaking, because that's like my own rule, right? But then price still pushed further into upper zone, and then eventually still came back to that zone, and then ultimately we saw the 1:5, 1:6 kind of price movement, right? Which is beautiful. This was like the main trade for Tuesday, right? And it played out very well. Now, if you didn't set pending order, or you're live on the chart, probably will have missed out on this because it happened so fast, right? Price just came in, tapped into this zone, and then began its movement to the upside, which is, it's one thing with US equities. They react very, very fast, right? So that happening already. What do we have for today? Let me delete all of this. Taking profit already for Tuesday. What happens today? Today is another beautiful day. We're seeing that there's now kind of clear break of structure, right? Of course, the last structure, I, is still far, like this, still far, kind of. But then what we have here, price is beginning to do what? Price is beginning to break structure to the upside, right? No longer creating structure, breaking structure to the downside again. This was the last low, right? But then this was supposed to be the last lower high too, right? But price eventually did what? Broke it to the upside, right? Giving us a new higher high, right? So for that reason, I believe strongly that, okay, though there's still liquidity to be consumed, price could still use all of this as liquidity to tap into this for it to continue to the upside. But then there's every incentive for price to begin its movement to the upside now, right? Because you're beginning to break structure, and then overall time frame is still what we are still very, very much bullish on the higher time frame. So you can as well start moving from this point, right? And start, taking what's it called? Orders from these points to the upside. That's a possibility we can see, and it is it is very possible we should see that happen. But then on the 30 minutes time frame, let's see if we have something interesting. Okay, this looks really interesting. All right, this looks really interesting for price to move from this zone. The price will kick up from this zone and then continue its movement to the upside. It has not been tested, still fresh, right? Although I wish it swept this liquidity, this point here, swept here, it would have been a very valid point, right? But then, notwithstanding, price have used all its, we've seen all reference area around here used up, right? Other block has been used, has been tested, has been tested, has been tested. This remains the only guy has not been tested with a fair value gap. The question now is, would price just reverse, tap into that other block, or it will just tap into 50% of this fair value gap and then continue its journey, right? Have this fair value gap here. So it's one thing with US30, you can use the fair value gap to just continue its direction, 50% of it, and then continue its movement in the upside, or it actually comes down into this other block and then continue its movement, right? So those are the two things I have going on for today in the market, right? That we could see price, push up. Then this pushing up now, it's a thing to go and clear all of this guy here. Is like 1:5.5-ish, right? 1:5.5, which is, kind of good. But if for any reason price invalidates this setup, then I'm going to wait for all of this to be cleared, and then tap into this zone for it to continue again. Because overall, on the daily time frame, I strongly believe this zone is strong enough to send price to the upside, like really send price to the upside, sitting around 50% fib level. So it's a strong zone for us to see that push, right? So that is what I see about US30 this morning. Let's quickly move to US100. That is NASDAQ. On NASDAQ, price even went far beyond what I was anticipating, right? So thank God there was not even pending order here. We had this gap, which we said is going to be filled, nonetheless, right? And then price came, filled it. Then reacting from the fair value gap we have now on the daily time frame, this fair value gap, I strongly believe that it will still come in even into this other block. It did came into the other block. If I want to calculate, if I want to use week on week to analyze the market, saying I want to use just week, like week to week order block kind of marking instead of body to body, right? So it did tap into it a little bit, not a little bit, just probably 2 or 3 pips, enough to pick an order, and then saw it rallying to the upside. I still believe price can still come into this zone again, right? Because on the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have on the 4-hour time frame. You have this guy that has not been tested. This entire zone. Sorry, let me remove this session breaker. Okay, we have this over here that's not been tested before. Strong zone, just above it. It's a fair value gap, like interesting. It's an interesting zone. You have something like this, right? So And in any zone, anywhere, price could come into this to start pushing the market to the upside again, right? Although this is a very, very slim case, right? Because the market's coming all the way back into this zone. Not something I see happening today, right? But notwithstanding, we can't really, let me look at lower time frame. You can, okay, lower time frame, we still have some areas that are looking unmitigated, yet unmitigated, that can send price to the upside, right? You have this fair value gap, and then below it another block unmitigated that can send price to the upside, which is possible, right? It is very, very possible to see price react from this zone. So for today, but then this didn't sweep all of this. This didn't break shift structure. I wish there was a shift of structure here that have been better for us, because that would even give us more confidence to kind of want to take trades from this position. But there was really no shift of structure here, right? Okay, so for today, I might just be staying out of US30 depending on what I see into New York session, right? I might just want to stay out of the entire trouble because it's no longer very, very clear. I wish there was a structure shift here, then we could as well pull the trigger from this, because it will mean that price shift structure to the upside. We are now fully bullish, and then we're just looking for the closest point of reference to push price to the upside, right? But that's not the case yet on US100. And finally, we'll be looking at S&P 500. Okay. So this is now beginning to make sense. The same thing on S&P 500. There's a shift already on S&P 500, and we have this here that's not been mitigated. And then price dug into the what's it called? The fair value gap, and then is returning again. I want to believe that this should send price to the upside. This serve as liquidity, as inducement to be taken out and then continue in its original direction, right? This looks as though it's a good setup. You have a shift to the upside, and then price coming into this for it to continue right in the overall direction of the market. So, I mean, this is looking really, really interesting. And by the time we do correlation, what can happen is US30 can also buy from, I say US30, NASDAQ would also buy from this zone, but then it will even run faster than S&P 500 because it has not broken its own structure. That's if everything plays out the way we are marking out our area of interest, right? Price will come into this and then rally even faster than S&P 500 that has broken structure, right? Can be even the fastest among all of them. And with what I'm seeing here, my first take profits will be this, because I'm seeing the major barrier here first. Now, so we have something like this. Then first take profit is this, right? I want to be very conservative. I do this. I want to be extremely tight. This is 1:9 already. All right, but just to allow markets a chance to breathe, 1:5. So this is what I see happening today, and I'll be taking my trades based off of this analysis that has been made. Hopefully, we see what the market does. All right. That is pretty much what I have going on this morning. Do we have any question, Noah? I mean, do you have any question whatsoever? So we can look into it together. Is there any question? Is there any question? Is there any question? All right. In the absence of the question, we'll be reconvened by 2 p.m. just to see what the market has done and how we can take advantage of it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this morning. We'll see you again by 2 p.m. this afternoon. Cheers and God bless everyone.